Are you waiting for somebody else to tell you they're proud of you to be proud of you? Drink of the day is kombucha by Remedy, and this flavor is cherry plum. Let's get into the conversation. This one's gonna be deep. If you guys have been following me, you guys know that I like to do vlogs, and I also like to make a lot of beauty, hygiene, self-care content. But I also wanted to start talks like these because I genuinely feel like I am a very deep feeler. I love also talking about things like this, but I kind of kept myself in one category and in one niche, and I feel like that is like not... I personally always hated niches, and I'm gonna stop with niches because I don't want to be in one box. I feel like I'm multifaceted. I used to think that self-love meant bubble bath, buying myself mini gifts, skincare routines, and again, just the superficial things I thought was self-love when I first started my self-love journey. And a lot of young girls probably can relate to this now because skincare, self-care, self-improvement, self-development is at its all-time peak. And the pressure that young girls and women feel is like never before. And don't get me wrong, all of those things can be an act of self-love by pouring into yourself, you know, doing the self-care. That definitely does show, because I personally, the reason why I love self-care and skincare and hygiene and beauty and all that good stuff is because I truly believe that it shows myself that I can pour into me by also doing journaling, shadow work, therapy, breathing techniques, meditation. But that is the way that I show myself that I care for you, I want to pour into you, and this is how I do that. But it can be distracting you from the hard stuff and the hard work, like I mentioned, with all of the lists of things that you can do to guide you into your self-love journey. This is a really good question to ask yourself. How do I treat me when nobody else is around? That's a really good question. You don't have to answer right now, but or if you honestly want to leave it in the comments, there's no judgment. It's a whole different thing to live like you are worth something. And that can contradict everything you've known, everything you know, going your whole life believing that you weren't. It is a painful experience to not love who you are when you have to wake up every day with you. Not him, not her, not your boss, not your co-workers, not your family, not your friends, you. I know being your own best friend sounds cliche, but baby, when you do, you're locked in for life. Okay? Loving yourself isn't always cute. It doesn't mean you're always going to look cute. Like I said, there are going to be days when you are crying, hysterically, ugly crying, snots in your nose. Trust me, I'm speaking from experience right now. I remember when I first started my healing journey. I used to do this too. I like really love tapping around my heart chakra area, my heart, and I don't know, it really does help me. I've been doing it for years now, but when I first started, and I'm going to do it because I am talking about things that are really heavy and things that I've had to deal with and I'm still working through. You know, I chose not to judge myself in those moments of me breaking down and not knowing why I was feeling so sad or depressed or alone. Really being able to not judge yourself through whatever it is you're going through, and realizing that self-love is something that is going to be for the rest of your life, then you will be able to actually start to learn. It's not just, okay, I watch this video or I read a self-love book and I just automatically love myself. No, there are going to be days, and you know what kind of days I'm talking about. So you need to make sure that I need to make sure you know that self-love is a forever thing. It's not just gonna be a one and done type of situation. No, you gotta work at it every single day, every single day, every single day, every single day. I don't care how bad it hurts. And a lot of the time, you're gonna wake up sometimes questioning why you're even existing. What is the point? What is the point of doing all of this for, you know, it to just all end? And you know, I feel like a lot of people who do love themselves, they're honest with themselves, and they're gonna tell themselves, you know what, I'm really not feeling okay. I'm not okay. I'm not where I want to be in life. I'm not where, you know, just whatever it is that you feel like you struggle with. You need to know that you may not be okay, but you are trying, and constantly doing it over and over and over again. It will get a lot easier with the things that you tolerate in life, the boundaries, the self-love, the prioritizing yourself. It will get a lot easier, but I'm telling you, it's going to be an everyday thing. I'm gonna read something in my journal. I do have my notebook of everything that I have written down, so I'm just gonna read something that I was just kind of low-key thinking about. I said, I think we get confused with what self-love is. I guess looking back, I don't think, well, after getting my heart broken, I actually felt like I loved myself and didn't rely on others to make me feel whole or complete. I don't know what it truly means to love myself. I kind of stopped because I wanted to, create a list. Sometimes when I'm really passionate about something, my brain can go from here to here to here to here to here, and I will forget to finish that one thing. But I kind of just do want to go off of it. I feel like a lot of us superficially love ourselves. We think that if, I just think we superficially love ourselves and conditionally love ourselves. There's a big difference between unconditionally loving yourself and loving only certain parts of yourself. And I feel like that is like a number one sign that you truly don't love yourself. And I think especially when you have grown up with parents who hasn't loved you or nurtured you or taken care of you in emotional aspect as long as a physical aspect, I truly think that it does break your spirit, and it does make your inner voice and how you perceive yourself with not as much love for yourself as you would have if you were raised with love and instead of neglect. I wanted to create a list of like, what do people who love themselves do? What is the list? What is the ultimate list? And I wrote down a few, and yeah, let's get into it. Number one, they protect their peace. This is something I feel like I never even really honestly had a right to anything when it came to me. But as I got older, I realized that protecting your peace is so important, especially if you've already had a really tough childhood where your nervous system has been completely dysregulated for the majority of your life and you have been in complete stress for most of your life. When you learn how to prioritize yourself and love yourself and protect your peace, you're gonna really notice how valuable peace is. Learning to say no without guilt. I know a lot of people have a hard time as it is just saying no. So you can already imagine how people pleasers would feel by me saying, learn how to say no without guilt. Mean it. Mean your no. No is a complete answer. And to toxic people, no and boundaries are like their worst enemy. They don't like it. They don't want you to have boundaries. They don't want you to have peace. They don't want you to protect your peace. And they don't want you to feel like you are worthy enough to have boundaries. Learning how to distance yourself from people who drain your energy. You ever notice a girl who, goes into a relationship and she is glowing, she's beautiful, she's thriving, and then months later, years later, she looks depleted, drained, gained weight, fat, miserable, depressed. It's real. People draining your energy is real, and you have to learn how to not be around those people. And it's gonna take time, especially when, again, you've grown up in a toxic environment. In that environment, you don't really know what is good and what is bad, because bad you thought was good, if that makes sense. Leave environments that make you shrink. And I think this also goes with leaving environments that other people make you feel like you have to be small. Recently, I have been craving being around people who make me want to thrive and to be comfortable in all of the fullness that I am, and not just little bits and pieces, and to learn how to love every single part of me. So the quote I'm also gonna do like a quote for every single step that I feel like people who love themselves take, and this one is going to be, I love myself too much to stay in what hurts me. You have to love yourself enough to know that you deserve more in your relationship. If your partner is hurting you physically, emotionally, you need to somewhere deep down, even if it's a little bit of strength and courage, to know that you deserve better. You need to know that if your work environment is toxic and you're being mistreated, whether it's a little bit of self-worth, to know that you deserve better and that you deserve to be in a peaceful work environment. Because there's one thing about a toxic work environment that will change everything in your life. I can't even explain it. So the second thing that I feel like people who love themselves do is don't settle. I'd rather be alone than in the wrong company. How many times have we just known that we weren't supposed to be in that crowd, or we weren't supposed to be with those friends because we felt different, number one, and number two, we just knew that either we were better than, and not to say that you're better than anybody or I'm better than anybody, but you know what I mean. People who love themselves wait for alignment and they don't try to force anything. Whether that's situations, they're not trying to force anything. They're not trying to force connections. They're not trying to force life. They're not trying to force their life path, and they're not trying to force anything. I feel like living in a life of trying to force how people see you, getting people to like you, approve of you, love you, it's tiring. Third thing that I feel like people who love themselves do is they speak kindly to themselves. I'm proud of me. Do you celebrate your small wins? I bet you don't. I bet you don't. I bet you feel like you need to have big and huge and glamorous and everyone needs to know kind of wins for you to feel like you've accomplished something. Are you waiting for somebody else to tell you they're proud of you to be proud of you? And I know, trust me, we're not meant to be alone. We're not meant to go through life feeling lonely. But you need to learn how to cheer yourself on and to be your own supporter and your own cheerleader and your own. You need to be able to look at your small wins and know that it's leading up to something bigger. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what you're feeling like. I don't care if you have 500 followers and you want to celebrate that. Baby girl, you better celebrate that. I don't care how long it took you to get 500 followers. I don't care how long it took you to get a viral post. I don't care how long it took you to achieve your dreams. I don't care how long it took you to make that business. I don't care how long it took you to write that book. Whatever goals you're thinking of when I'm talking about this is the exact one that you need to be cheering yourself on, even if you made a small achievement in that goal or dream. So I feel like if you want to start learning how to love yourself, you need to learn how to have self-compassion, and when you get negative thoughts, you check them immediately. Do you know that most of the time the things you're thinking about weren't even from you? The way you were treated in childhood genuinely has a severe impact on how you see yourself right now. Whether if you feel like you're not beautiful enough, or you're not good enough, or you're never gonna make it to wherever it is you want to go in life, do you realize the impact? It is not because you one day randomly thought out of the one. It's not like you came out of the womb thinking these things. It was day after day after day after day after day after day after day of thinking that how people were treating you and how people talked to you was you and your identity and what you thought of you, but it's not. They choose healing over numbing. I feel like it's so common nowadays to think that numbing, actually no, I do have to say that we have been becoming more self-aware as a collective of how beneficial healing your pain and your trauma and, you know, these really oozing wounds that have been in your family for generations as well. I feel like anybody who doesn't love themselves bottles up their emotions, not even towards just themselves, but in relationships, not really saying how you feel and not speaking up for yourself. Or this doesn't have to be romantic, it can be in family, it could be friends, workplace. I feel like people who truly do love themselves really do voice what matters to them as well as their feelings. And trust me, I grew up feeling like my feelings did not matter, or my feelings weren't ever to be taken into consideration in some areas, or they just simply didn't matter. Sometimes real self-love is just sitting in silence and sitting in your pain and sitting in all of who you are. Sometimes self-love, and again, it is not pretty. I know a lot of the times we like to unwind with a good TV show, or drinking with your girls on a weekend, or smoking, but honestly, you're numbing out a lot of the things that you probably need to heal. Another thing that people do who love themselves is they eat well. they work out, they exercise, they take care of their health, and they take their health extremely seriously. There's a lot of controversy about, well, even organic sometimes isn't the best, or, you know, sometimes all natural, the pesticides and all that stuff, but try to eat as clear and or clean as you can. I honestly this summer have started my own garden. Obviously, I am not an expert. It's definitely something that is in my genes and in my blood, but I do think finding the best, try to eat as clean as you can. Health is far more important than any amount of dimes and dollars. Making sure you're getting enough sleep, resting when you feel like you need to rest, exercising but not overly exercising. I know a lot of people, you have to find your schedule and your routine that works best for you, not for what everybody else is. Especially I've noticed that I am a lot more tired when my period is around the corner, so I give myself that grace in that resting period to rest, because my body is screaming at me when I do decide to ignore it, and it's saying please stop. So you also have to, you know, find a balance. Everything in life is about balance, so you have to make sure that you are finding your balance and being able to be in tune with yourself enough to know what you can work with. So I really hope that this video did help you guys. Like I said, I am no expert, but I do feel like I can talk about certain things because I have worked on myself far enough. My healing journey has started in 2017, and ever since I have devoted myself and I have made a vow that I will become the best that I can be, whole as I can be, and healed as I can be, and happy as I can be. You're here, and I want myself and you to get the maximum out of this life, and to be able to love yourself so much and so deeply that you can attract everything that you're desiring. So I hope this video helped, and I love you guys so much and so dearly, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.